Ijaw leader to Biafra. Oduduwa Republic agitators. Leave us out of your campaign. The president of the Ijaw National Congress, the umbrella body of Ijaw Nation, Professor Benjamin Okaba, has spoken on what the delegation of Ijaw leaders have told President Buhari during the group's recent meeting with the president. He also warned separatist movement clamoring for Biafra and Oduduwa Republic to leave the Ijaws out of such agitations. He spoke with Femi Fola Romi. So the question asked, what are the issues you've been dealing with since you became president? The INC has a mandate to advocate for, defend and propagate the Ijaw agenda and the Ijaw cause. The Ijaw cause is all about self-determination. The Ijaw agenda is to seek about the freedom of the Ijaw people from all shackles of oppression, exploitation, and marginalizations we have suffered over the decades, even from pre-colonial times. Ooh, okay. History lesson. So yeah, okay. This question also asked, were some of these issues discussed during your meeting with President Buhari, and what was your impression on his views about the issues raised? He said the important thing about the visit is that for the first time in several years, the Ijaw people placed officially before the president the cries, the woes and concerns of our people. It has always been advocacy, it has always been crying, and it has always been shouting, but as an executive that believes in meaningful engagement, we took these things down to Mr. President, and we told him that, one, we have made enormous contributions to the country, that is fine. Okay, so they also talk about, well, the president responded to these requests in a manner that I would say does not satisfactorily touch on the issues. Then what's the point of separating yourself from Biafra and Oduduwa Republic? Like, why are you then trying to separate yourself if this is really giving me pick me vibes, like desperately pick me vibes. This is literally giving pick me vibes. Because then if you're all about self-determination, then what are you trying to run away from? Because it's like you're trying to cunningly get what you want still by pleasing your oppressor, so you don't necessarily have to go through the things that your colleagues are going through, if that makes sense. And that's just a bit shady, because there is no way that you're going to have to push for self-determination and the government will not be on your neck if that is what you're trying to avoid. So I'm not really sure, but it's definitely much like giving vibes of pick me and I'm better than you vibes, and like, it's no one asked, and it's just like, so being in the country, have you not learned anything? This is so funny. This is really, really funny. So yeah, so then he was asked, what is the next step for the Ijaw Nation if the requests are not granted? He said, we stated it very clearly, would report to an all Ijaw summit, and that summit would take its decision. As members of the executive, we were set on a mission and we would report back by item, and response by response, the summit would take the next step. I mean, honestly, that's just it. The political elite of Niger Delta have also been fingered in the injustice meted out to the Ijaw Nation. And he says, in every society we have Judas everywhere. There are persons who benefit by patronizing the federal government. The good thing is that what they constitute an infinitesimal proportion. We have so many elites who believe in the sustainability of our struggle. All right. I don't know. I'm not really feeling this whole thing, but it's not there for me to feel. I think he has not. The title does not really attach with the article, because it says Ijaw leader to Biafra Oduduwa Republic agitators, leave us out of your campaigns. But then you have not really addressed the fact as to why you don't want to be included. I mean, honestly, to each their own. You fight for what you want, and I think, to be honest, reading this just made me be like, really, self-determination, we cannot achieve that. Not that we should not achieve that and we don't have a right to, push for self-determination. But this is the problem. We're never united, because it's like, I don't know what makes this Ijaw corporation or group different to that of Oduduwa and Biafra, when they say that their cause is, they're pushing for self-determination. So it's like, what makes you then different? I don't know. And it just seems a bit like you're going to meet the oppressor that is attacking both Biafra and Oduduwa. Because again, to be honest, why it's like, why are you going to the same body that is oppressing your fellow, self determination agitators as well? That don't make sense. Let's look at the comment section below here. Someone says, were you part of us before? We don't know you in Yoruba Nation, and we don't even need you, and you are not recognized at all. Well, you can't say that. And I think maybe this is the injustice that they're talking about in terms of just not being a majority tribe where, you know, they're well recognized, Ijaw leaders are making a very big mistake. Do you think this parasitic, oh gosh, do you think these parasitic Fulani people can ever restructure this country for you? Never. And Ijaw race can never small presidential seat. Okay, now this is it. If it happens to that Biafra and Yoruba successfully go out of Nigeria and Niger Delta State is in Nigeria with Hausa Fulani, Ijaw people will be completely wiped out and Fulani would take over their oil. But then again, I think it's just, okay, fine, this group does push for self-determination, but let's not fail to recognize that, okay, fine, there's a large possibility that this group does not speak for the whole of the Ijaw people, because again, when you say take over their oil, you know that they are, the Niger Delta militia people who are definitely not on the same wavelength with the government, having autonomy over their own resources. So again, I'm let's just not assume that the whole of Ijaw people think like this or want to be like this. But of course, if you have a group that is for self-determination, I guess you'd assume that the followers are like that, and that's just what it is. So yeah, when you say small presidential seat, like, it's still not about that. And I think this is why maybe we also need to separate as well, because we have some sort of underlying how do I say it, some underlying intimidation that happens with the big tribes and the major tribes and the little tribes, especially those that you know especially the big tribes that are more likely to be in the seat of power. And I think it's so clear. It is definitely very clear with the whole thing with the Igbo presidency, because I'm now like, okay, fine, so if an Igbo person is president, does that change the situation of the country? So when each region has an opportunity to steal from the national cake at one season or at one point, then it's more equal, because we've all had a chance to steal money. Because I think that's what it really is at this point. Because this push for Igbo presidency just shows that the intimidation is there with certain tribes, and of course it's not just certain tribes, but the elites of certain tribes who want to get there and do whatever they want to do for their selfish gain. Please, that's it. But what I think about this, and don't forget to like and subscribe.